So we started off this 3-part lesson series with me asking you a simple question. If I gave you a piece of paper with a series of steps on it, and I said, if you execute these steps, within 18 months, you will have a business that is producing millions in revenue per month with healthy profit margins, would you take that deal? Would you make that trade? And that was a large part of what part 1 was focused on, was this whole idea of a trader's philosophy, where you look at the outputs that you want from life, because you can have anything you want from life and in business, I fundamentally believe, so long as we are willing to pay the price. And a lot of the time we have to figure out what is that price. It often comes down to just kind of knowing the numbers. How many cold emails do we have to send? How many people need to see our ads? How can we make our copywriting be better and optimize it once it's actually live? And putting in the time to do that, or working with a team to help you do that trade, in which case maybe you're trading money to pay for the team, which then results in you getting some sort of a higher ROI in terms of your time saved, because maybe your time is more valuable being traded somewhere else. We also talked about goal setting and the definition of tactical success. And in the last part, I specifically went through in detail with you the financial modeling system that really helps you to just get out of the mindset of like, oh my God, because it's very easy to have like a lofty goal. Like, I want to lose 50 pounds. I want to build a business that's making billions in profit every month. And it can feel so far away and so high up, especially if you've never achieved it before. And that's how I felt for a long time, when I would even think about, oh my God, like when we achieve 10K monthly recurring revenue, as a service business, like that's going to be crazy, because the peace of mind that comes from recurring revenue and blah, 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 when we achieve 20, 30, and then ultimately we achieved over $125,000 in monthly recurring revenue, and we grew 936% in 2020, 2021 in 8 months. So I'm able to speak here, from having actually done it, and I did it with a tech-enabled service, aka like a productized service. So I know a lot about selling products, I know a lot about selling services, and I think that I can give you something really actionable here. And we're going to wrap up here this 3-part series. I encourage you to check out parts 1 and 2 if you haven't already, because those are foundational to what I'm about to share with you now. The final factor that will ultimately determine whether you achieve your goal or not is how you deal with unexpected changes in the market. And that's what we call ex machina. It's obviously taken, or perhaps not obvious. I don't know, like I didn't read a ton of Shakespeare, but it was assigned in high school. And there was this concept called deus ex machina, which it comes from Latin. It means God from the machine. And it used to mean like, they would hoist down some sort of a being onto the stage. I believe it may have been in Greek times. This godlike being, which maybe represented, the equivalent of an angel or whatever, it meant God from the machine, God coming down and, resolving things or making some sort of a fundamental change to the plot of the story. So for example, in Hamlet, I believe towards the end of the story, when I believe like there's a big storm and some ships are thrown off course, that's deus ex machina at work. And deus ex machina, or just ex machina for short, that gets a little more catchy. Ex Machina was also a movie, but totally unrelated. Good movie. Ex Machina is where outside factors, they're going to force you to pivot or adjust or just change in potentially foundational ways, your financial projections, your business model, your service, whatever it is you're offering. So the ex machina factor, it's just outside factors that force you to pivot or adjust, potentially change in fundamental ways certain assumptions that you have in your financial model. Perhaps how you market, perhaps even how you package your product or service in the first place, and how you deal with ex machina when they inevitably come up, because it's not if, it is when, is the final determining factor of whether or not you will achieve tactical success. Okay, will you achieve your goal of tripling your email list, of tripling your traffic, of growing your revenue, as in the case of these videos that I'm making on a daily basis, to share the journey with you as we grow Grobo to $1 million in profit per month, which probably looks about like a $5 million monthly recurring revenue run rate. You cannot have perfect knowledge of the future and all factors. And I'm going to give you some examples here in a second. So it cannot be predicted usually what's going to happen that might throw things off course. You just kind of have to take a leap. It's not a leap of faith. It's a leap of knowing that unexpected things are going to happen. Unexpected events are just going to potentially upend the market or at least shift it in small ways. It's always changing. Like, that's just the nature of it. And you cannot know all the variables. Therefore, going into this journey, you should expect it. And in expecting it, this is one of the key reasons why you want to be consistently profitable. You want to be building your money, savings, and in expecting it, this is one reason why it is so important to be consistently profitable and to be growing and stacking money in your bank. Having more money in the bank will give you more confidence. It will also just give you more time when things start to turn, because you might see the numbers start to turn before you actually even realize that something ex machina actually happened, that ex machina actually occurred. So you must expect the unexpected and be willing to adapt to market changes. It might seem difficult, it might be uncomfortable, and it is, but you can adapt to it. Change is constant. And one of the most well-known ex machina examples, which played a big role in our story at Grobo when we were first growing the business and launching our done-for-you instant on-demand team offering, where today we offer an all-in-one marketing fulfillment team with 13 skill sets. You can check it out if you're interested by going to grobo.com. No contracts, no need to deal with hiring headaches or management headaches. You just delegate and we get it done for you. And you get to see your projects kind of come to life with progress bars going from 0 to 100% in real time on the app. It's really cool. I created it to solve my own problem, which is the challenge of execution. There's a lot on our shoulders as entrepreneurs, as business owners. Wouldn't it be amazing to just be able to delegate all of it or most of it to an on-demand team to offload the burden? And that's exactly what we offer, and it's awesome. But in terms of actually bringing our solution to the market, in summer of 2020, this was the summer of COVID. And during that summer, I recommitted to delivering high quality content as part of our new marketing initiative because everyone was freaking out. I was following the news closely. Part of me just looked at the news in fascination as I just stayed inside and like most people and didn't go out too much. And the business though, I made this calculated bet to pivot away from us being a done for you sales funnel team. And then the economy fell off a cliff. And I just had conviction though that it would work. And like literally in February 2020, we're changing the site. It just seems so crazy to me now, but I had conviction because I was in the market. So I made that bet to pivot and to say, I'm in the market for this. I know that people need an on-demand marketing team because it's so expensive, so time-consuming to hire a team. And if you can get that for a fraction of the cost and just start delegating tasks, wouldn't that be really valuable? Yes. I'm solving my own problem. I'm in the market. So I believed that to be true, but I didn't know for certain that people would actually buy it. So we started changing the website and really nothing was working. And it took like months to get everything aligned. We redesigned it and we redesigned it again. And we just started again, because we were like changing the copy and trying to keep the best. And we were trying to make it like kind of a gradual transition away from more of the agency type of model where it was productized still, but it was more like an agency sort of perception where it's like, we're going to get you results, we're going to grow your business and you pay us money and, we give you more money back in return versus like it's an on-demand team and you're in the driver's seat and we can help to advise you, but otherwise, you're getting an all-in-one team and that's kind of the main core deliverable and you can delegate unlimited tasks and that's the value. Because it was either go that path or we would niche down in order to provide a better and more scalable service. Because the vehicle that we were in, as I mentioned in previous videos, the done for you sales funnel team offer, it was not the right vehicle to get us to where we wanted the company to go, to be at 100K monthly recurring revenue and beyond. So to again bring it to market, I just constantly kept going through and looking at the homepage and polishing the emails. And then I said, all right, I'm going to commit to quality content marketing. But after doing that for a little while, SEO, I realized it's going to take time. And this is when it worked better than it does today with AI disrupting everything. And here's AI overviews at the top of Google search results. But we shifted from the sales funnel team offer to the marketing team on-demand offer. It was the height of COVID. It was COVID summer, everyone freaking out. And with this ex machina making things look even more uncertain, because I knew that I wanted to take the business in this direction regardless. But again, it was muddling the waters. It was like, okay, like, does the market actually want this? How do we reach them? Everyone's just kind of closed for business. And this went on for months. And revenue, again, they just tanked to the point of it was bad. You know, we were burning cash. We got down to, I think in June, around $10,000 monthly recurring revenue, which was well off of our high of where we were at before. I think it was on around $40,000 monthly recurring revenue, or 30. Actually, no, there's 36 monthly recurring revenue, and we were profitable. And then going down. You know, we're keeping everyone on staff. And paying and just burning cash. And we said, okay, we're going to continue with content. But because of this ex machina, it's kind of throwing things off. We want to get right in front of our target audience, and we need to accelerate this. The content is going to take time to work. Let's accelerate with Facebook ads. So we put up a lead magnet with ads. We launched it within just like 3 days. Thanks to, you know, Grobo and the team and the quick turnaround time that we have. And that's when sales really started to take off. And we were one of the first to offer such a service, you know, at the price point that we're offering it. And again, the ads just really just kicked ass. I think that was a big part of it. So everything that we had been kind of polishing and preparing that wasn't working, it later did pay off once we started getting in front of, you know, the right audience at the right time. The Facebook ads really helped us to actually do that. And that was the beginning of our 936% growth spurt, which then peaked in April of 21 with 125K in revenue, monthly recurring revenue. So this is the kind of prime example that I point to in terms of, you know, ex machina is going to happen. Shit is going to happen. You have to be prepared to adjust, to pivot, be willing to make yourself be uncomfortable, because change is uncomfortable. Okay. It doesn't mean that you have to like hate the process or like, you know, be so all stressed out and stuff. I mean, it's going to happen, I guess, if it's going to happen, but try to just accept it as part of the process. A second example of ex machina that has happened more recently in the last 2 years is that, as I mentioned and alluded to earlier, AI has upended organic search traffic, Google overviews and Google's pure AI search mode. It just has resulted in business websites like ours seeing 60 to 90% traffic drops, and some even worse. So we're seeing about a quarter of the traffic that we were before, and it's pros and cons, because, you know, although we're getting less traffic, you know, the traffic that you do get from, you know, people who are searching with AI, it often converts, you know, something like 4 times better. But still, it's kind of a mixed bag, because overall the quantity, in terms of my opinion, I would rather have the more the higher volume of traffic. But still, this is ex machina. We have to deal with reality as it is. I can't just, you know, snap my fingers and say, well, I wish it was that way. And, you know, we need to accept reality as it is and deal with it as it is. So it directly affected us. We're not going to go and protest to Google, because Google's going to do what Google is going to do. And much of our traffic was coming from Google in terms of organic search. It no longer is. And so that's part of what we're doing in terms of actually figuring out how are we going to achieve our tactical success goal of $1 million in profit per month. And so we need a new and better reliable source of leads, because organic traffic continues to go down. We assume that will continue to be the trend for the near future. We will try to combat it, because we are going to continue to invest in content marketing. But the inputs, speaking of inputs, like we talked about in the last 2 videos, the inputs that we will be doing will be, and perhaps our video editor can put up on screen the 4-step diagram for the simple system that we'll be using, where you make something, you publish and promote that something, then you observe the data, and then you make conclusions from the data, and you circle back and you rinse and repeat. Okay. And every time you make a conclusion from the data, you want to put that into action. You want to apply it back into the process of making the thing, the piece of content, the reel, the video, whatever it might be, so that you can then, you know, that learning is then incorporated, and ideally you're getting more and more distribution as a result. So the omni-channel approach, in case you're not familiar with what that means, it just means like multiple channels at once. And this is a little bit counterintuitive. Like, you don't want to overextend. Ideally, you want to be doing really well with one channel, but because, you know, we've already used one channel, like Facebook ads, for example, though it was kind of married with the content we were able to scale to millions in revenue from that alone. So now we want to pursue something that is going to make us less reliant on any one channel. So that's going to be primarily social across YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, maybe TikTok as well. Content, maybe we can recover some of the SEO traffic. We'll see. We also naturally promote our articles and content through newsletters. We've always done that. I don't really count that necessarily as a traffic approach or in terms of top of funnel. It's more like middle of the funnel because it's email. People are on your list. And so social and content combined with ads. So that's our omni-channel approach, and we can add on more channels to that later as we go. And the inputs to that are just, create and publish quality content daily over a sustained period of time. Our hypothesis is simple, and it's focused on three things. First, content and social work if done consistently over time. Second is that this strategy will work faster if you learn what the market wants and then double down on it. So for example, we have this one video that talks about like a copywriting checklist that we used to sell over $3 million products and services. That video was more of an outlier for us in terms of past YouTube content. So that would be an example of something that we would maybe double down on and just create like multiple pieces of content like related to that, related to copywriting, maybe even turn it into, and this is the third item in terms of what we're focusing on, using ads to amplify what works, turning content into lead magnets. Because you can, whatever works in terms of content, you can just kind of repurpose it into an ad often in some way, either making it into a lead magnet or just, okay, this piece of content really resonated with people in terms of us just, talking about maybe middle of the funnel or even bottom of the funnel type of decision-making mindset. So let's actually try that in an ad. You'll oftentimes find that you just kind of multiply your learnings, which then can, again, accelerate your growth. And this is a big part of why, when it comes to the Grobo marketing flywheel, which we just had on the screen a moment ago, in terms of that 4-step diagram, that is the Grobo marketing flywheel. The more turns of the flywheel that you can do, this is a key assumption of ours, the faster, the more learnings and insights that you'll get, and the faster that ultimately you'll grow. One final note that I want to give to you in terms of ex machina is that ex machina can be positive. Psychology studies say that, when something positive happens that maybe is unexpected, we're more likely to see ourselves or something that we did. Oh, well, I'm so great. Obviously, that's the reason why this happened. But I would say to that, don't be so arrogant. Okay, separate good luck from skill applied over time. Keep yourself grounded and just keep working, because if you can even to just kind of like bias yourself against believing your own hype, you're going to be more grounded, and it will allow you to push through the times when things are negative. And that way when things are negative, you won't take it so personally either. You won't blame yourself or blame other people. You say, okay, well, part of it's maybe good luck. Part of it is because, we've been executing great. We're just maximizing probabilities. It's like an invisible black box, inputs go in, outputs come out. And yeah, we have influence over it, but ex machina is going to happen, and it's just part of the game. So just keep executing and focus on your financial model and be willing to continuously adapt. So this is the third and final lesson in this 3-part series. And just to recap briefly, I started off this 3-part video series by saying that it is my belief that you can achieve any level of success that you want in life and in business. You simply have to be willing to pay the price, and that price comes through walking a path. The path being defined as, stepping stones, and each stone on that pathway is maybe represented as a trade, a decision to make a trade of your time in exchange for, time in terms of like your labor, your thought process, learning something, or your money in terms of asking someone else to do it for you, delegating, for example, to a team member, or to a company like Grobo, where we can execute it for you. But if you walk that path and you're able to choose, because there are in theory infinite pathways, right? But if you're able to do it in a succinct and efficient amount of time, because speed is your friend on this journey, because you are less likely to see ex machina pop up and rear its head and things kind of change in significant ways. Because if you're able to do that, you're able to reach a certain point of scale. When those things pop up, again, you'll be better financially prepared to pivot, and you'll have a bigger, broader runway to adapt to the changing market as a result of that. And with AI, it's continuously just surprising people in terms of, people said that AGI would be here already, for example, and programmers wouldn't have jobs. Well, that's been predicted multiple times. It's still being predicted. It's not necessarily wrong. I don't disagree with it. I'm a developer myself. I've worked with AI at a ground level. Conversation for another day. But still, it represents an ongoing ex machina factor in the market. So you want to build your financial model. You want to assume that ex machina is going to happen. You want to persevere through that. You want to pivot, adapt as needed. All right. Assume that is going to be part of the process. And in terms of like defining your tactical, what your tactical goal is, know that it's not going to make you a better person just for achieving it. The work hopefully will work on you, because it is through the work that we actually sharpen ourselves. If our character itself is the sword, then the work is the blacksmith who's working to make the blade sharp and effective. So that is what I wish for you, and I wish you true success in terms of applying this information to your business. Really, you don't need a 100-page business plan. You need a goal. You need to be offering the market something that they actually want. You need to be willing to put in the time and make those trades, make those decisions. And you need to be willing to do it in as efficient of a time period as possibly can to avoid ex machina potential death traps that can throw you off balance. So put in the work and expect the unexpected and work the plan. Every month, look at the column that relates to your current month and run the race against yourself. Don't pay attention to all this noise on YouTube or looking at your competitors but they're up there and maybe I got this other shiny, newfangled tactic over here. Stay focused, okay? Stay focused. The times of growth that have been most exponential in the case of Growbot, I really don't think that's an exaggeration. When we grew in 8 freaking months, 936%, we hired over 40 people in that time period and trained them. I mean, it was wild. It's just a matter of making those trades and not assuming that you know too much and letting the numbers month to month kind of beg the question, well, what are the inputs that I need to do, or just keep doing or stop doing? All right. You're going to learn that by doing it. All right. And because the execution and the consistent execution is one of the most difficult parts for any business owner or entrepreneur, the ability to adapt and execute through change is one of the exact reasons why Growbo and having an all-in-one marketing team was crucial to our success. I mentioned, for example, I was iterating on our copy at the height of the ex machina that was the pandemic, and I was creating these email sequences. And I say but it was a team effort. I had my team to delegate to, and I knew my market. As you probably know your market better than the team does, because I've worked in it for years. We've worked with so many agencies and coaches and SaaS and so on, and so I have more in-depth knowledge of the market. But it'd be passed to me, and I put my final polishes on it. That final 3 to 5% that really kind of can make all the difference. But again, the time that it would take me to like write an entire landing page, starting from a blank page, or even if I'm working with AI, and AI is just going to give you some generic boilerplate, and AI is going to give you some generic boilerplate type of thing. It's it's not the same as putting it through a trained human copywriter. And it's the same thing with design, the same thing with dev support, the same thing with apps management, the same thing with ads management, because a lot of it still, it just can't be automated. And the judgment that is there from the neural net that is in a human brain compared to the neural net that is in some of these foundational AI models, there's still a big gap that remains to be closed. And that's why having an all-in-one team of humans was so crucial to our growth and remains so crucial to our growth going forward as we grow our company to $1 million plus in profit. But I want to give you that same asset that has served me so well and continues to serve me and the company itself so well that sells it, which is an all-in-one instant marketing fulfillment team, 13 skill sets, copywriting, graphic design, web design, logos, development, app management. So again, like going to your apps, hooking them up together, hooking up the automation to the landing page, the form, the stuff that you don't want to deal with, launching the ads, setting up the ads, doing the market research, putting together the funnel, testing it, quality checking it, making sure it looks good on mobile, You don't want to handle all that. I don't. I rely on my Growbo team to do it for me, and you can too. So you can all-in-one team for the fraction of the price of hiring one full-time virtual assistant. It's an amazing value, no contracts, and you can try it 14 days risk-free. So go to growbo.com if you'd like to learn more. And if you enjoyed this video series, I would ask, please consider sharing it with others who you think might get value from it. Please leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. And like and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And in summary, remember to expect the unexpected, stay flexible in tactics, and keep executing, because that is the fastest way to learn and to grow. That's how you trade your way to any goal you set, whether it's 10K in monthly recurring revenue or $1 million in profit per month and well beyond.